simply ask questions.
Yeah.
And he does it deadpan.
Yep.
And it's amazing watching these people just like twist reality into some weird fucking contortionist knot.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you saying?
It's
What
so
is a
revealing.
woman? What does it mean?
Yeah, it's so revealing.
You know, you're marching for women's rights, but what does that mean? So if I decide I'm a woman and I go out, you're marching for me? I'm a woman now.
Right.
You could just say it?
Yeah.
Like, we can't have that. That doesn't make sense. And it doesn't mean you can't have trans people. It doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
You can most certainly...
And it doesn't mean you're against.
Yes. Yeah,
anyone.
You're not denying anyone's existence
Yeah.
either. They exist. However, if you want to be pregnant, you must be a biological female. This is science. This is something that we have all studied and looked at and observed, and this is fucking doctrine. It's no getting around it.
Yeah.
If you want to breed, if you want the egg in the womb, you want the whole thing to happen, the uterus, the baby,
Yep.
it's a woman.
Yeah.
Just because you have a fucking beard because you're taking testosterone, you're still a woman.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
And that's what was so powerful about that documentary was both Matt Walsh's demeanor and, frankly, his respect with whoever he was questioning, and the spectrum of people that he spoke to on this.
Yes.
From, psychiatrists, psychologists, doctors, professors, and even the woman who transitioned hormonally
Who has
to
terrible regret.
become a man, who was crying on camera.
That's the problem in this country. When everyone wants to talk about representation. Here's what's not represented at all in the mainstream media. People that have had a horrible experience having gender transition surgery and regret it deeply.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. It's not a small amount. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's not a cut and dry thing. Look, if there was a way where we had some sort of genetic engineering, where, some super advanced form of CRISPR, where I could just decide I want to be a woman now, and then bam, now I have a double X chromosome, I have a vagina, I'm an actual woman, like 100%, not surgery. And here's the other thing, it's like, if you're saying that you identify as a woman, you're a woman, okay, why do you have to get an operation then?
Right.
Why do you have to take hormones?
Right.
Like, why do you have to do all that stuff? And that stuff seems to be where all the problem lies, because that is purely experimental.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to children. Like, we're now finding, when they're talking about hormone blockers, they were saying hormone blockers are reversible and there's no side effects. That's not true at all. They're finding horrific side effects for kids who take those things.
Right.
And we don't have a lot of long-term data. We just don't.
Yeah. It's so dangerous that the Biden administration's, Health and Human Services Secretary is openly advocating for this. Parents and schools and the community need to support this quote unquote gender affirming care and treatment for kids, knowing what we know, even the limited knowledge of what we know about the impacts of these hormone treatments, the impacts of these irreversible surgeries, both physically as well as mentally, as more and more even of these kids who come forward who've gone through this with incredible regret and talking about the long-standing symptoms and problems and illnesses they're now having to deal with. We have the person who's supposed to be in charge of federal health policy for the country saying, no, this is exactly what we should be doing, and encouraging parents and kids to go and get this treatment. It is an advocating for abuse of children. And it's something that more and more people need to stand up against. But the fact that we don't have more people speaking out about this speaks to this culture of fear that we're talking about.
Right. And you can't even talk about it because that person is trans, which is even crazier. So the person who's advocating for children to transition also is trans. And I'm sure you saw the Rand Paul interview where Rand Paul is questioning her and asking questions. And it's like talking to an alien. Yeah. It's like he's talking to an alien that has a tape recorder that's going to press play every time the question's over. Yeah. Thank you, Senator. Transgender care is a nuanced and like goes into this speech. And Rand Paul says, just let it be said on record that the person is not answering these questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that, and I don't know how well known this is, but I saw a brochure that the Department of Health and Human Services put out on what is gender affirming care. it basically says that if parents refuse or fail to provide this gender-affirming care, then Child Protective Services will have the authority to step in and try to intervene for the sake of the child.
Wow.
And so when you look at
So if a kid is just going through a period in their life where they decide I'm a girl or I'm a boy.
Right.
And the parents say, hey, let's wait until you turn 18. You might grow out of this. And the kid's like, fuck that. I'm calling Child Protective Services.
Yeah.
And then Homeland Security or whoever the hell it is comes in and physically forces the parents to do the bidding of the minor child.
With the threat of taking your child away from you.
How did anybody allow it to get this far? Like, are there no adults in the room? I mean, that's a big expression, right?
It is.
That was the thing that everyone said that we were going to love about the Biden administration.
Right.
The adults are back in the room.
Yeah.
Really? Like, what is everyone out of their fucking mind? Like, we know children are incredibly malleable. We know children are impulsive. They decide, like, there's kids, ready for this? My friend, his wife, is a school teacher. And she works at a school that had to install a litter box in the girls' room because there is a girl who's a furry who identifies as an animal. And her mother badgered the school until they agreed to put a litter box in one of the stalls. Yeah. So this girl goes into the litter room or to the girls' room and urinates or whatever. I don't know if she poops in it. That's pretty gross. You know what I mean? Like, if you could teach your cat, by the way, here's the thing. If you could teach your cat to use the toilet, you would. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want a box of piss in your house. It's the worst. I've had cats my whole life. It's the worst thing about having cats. You got to clean that box of piss every day.
Yeah.
Like, it's the greatest thing about dogs. They go outside. Like, you're a fucking human.
The cat's got their humans trained.
Imagine how crazy that is. You're a fucking human being, and you prefer a litter box. You want to piss into a pile of sand rather than use a bathroom that you could flush the toilet, wipe yourself like a normal person. Like, you're so crazy with what you think an animal is that not only have you said this, but you've conned the school into putting this fucking litter box in a girl's room.
Yeah.
Which is bananas.
It is.